My review for the day is somebody I'm in love with, Dave Trott's 1 + 1 = 3. I have, I first for Bookies reviewed it in 2020, then in 22, and then again in 24. And my rating has moved from 4 to 4.5 to 5 on 5 now. I read the first book of his I picked up in April 2014 in the Singapore airport called Predatory Thinking. Didn't read it for a long time, then read it after 5 years, fell in love with it, and then read all his books. Where did I pick this up? Seems new, but it's a pre-loved book given to Mr. Habib by Preeta. But now it is mine from Bookworm in Bangalore. Pre-loved book. The minute I saw it, I had to pick it up at $120. Absolutely, absolutely brilliant. A masterclass in creativity, but brings in a lot from a mindfulness perspective as to who you are, why you are, what is it that you want to do. Let me quickly run through the Divakar grid first. Predominantly 5 on 5 for most of the things, clarity of thought, connect. 4 on the uniqueness of topic, because everybody is writing about mindfulness and or creativity these days. Outcome is 4.5 on 5. You can pick it up and open up any chapter and read it. Writing style is absolutely brilliant. Short chapters and no paragraphs. It's just one sentence, two sentences, one sentence, and that's Dave Trott's style. He's a copywriter. Author credibility is 5. Book cover, he's got several. The one most common one is the yellow one that says 1 + 1 = 3, a masterclass. This is a bit more minimalistic one that I picked up. And because I was getting into a bit of a rut, I followed Colonel Shyam's routine that I woke up at 4 o'clock and I was able to finish up the reread. This is how I take my notes. I could annotate and pick that up. Now, coming back to what it is all about, absolutely brilliant. He starts off saying each of us need to have diverse experiences and varied inputs, because varied inputs will lead to unexpected combinations. How can you just focus on a particular silo and try to find a solution? You need to know several things to mix and match and connect. Very similar to what David Epstein talks about in his book Range. It is not what you want to do, but it's what you have done that matters. All through, he keeps talking about question the system, question the process, question why, be absolutely unreasonable, be a rebel, be heard. Because his key message is regret is worse than embarrassment. And the beautiful story to talk about, that there was a 10-year-old girl in an island in Thailand in 2004. And she had studied something, seen a particular video, and she saw when she came out with her family to the beach that the tide had gone way behind, the water was frothing, and nobody had heard the word tsunami. So she was yelling and screaming, and the lifeguards were not bothered. Nobody had seen what it was like. But her father chose to believe in her and made a hue and cry, and a whole bunch of them evacuated the beach. And within 5 minutes of their evacuation, the tsunami hit and everything got flooded. Several deaths across Southeast Asia. But in Thailand, that particular island alone had 0 casualties. So if you want to do something, do it. There was a beautiful, it's like when you reread a book, different things jump out at you. And that is a word called choice architecture that Dave Trott uses, that you can engineer the choices in such a way, you can be the architect of the choices, that the people to whom you give the choices to pick the choice that you want them to pick. Now, this is not being manipulative. He gives examples of how to how to word. And he has conducted surveys with people when both mean the same thing, but then you go ahead and pick up one particular choice. Control the context and you control the choice. And one of the key aspects he brings here from the previous book is predatory thinking, that it is Valentine's Day, a couple of days from now, but he has not placed an order. And as he's thinking about it, he gets a call. Dave Trott gets a call from one of the florists from whom he buys out of the 4 florists. And he says, last year, same time you placed a bouquet for your wife, Is it going to be the same order? Can I start working on it? So the other 3 florists were waiting for the call while this particular florist took the initiative and got it through. He quotes Orson Welles, give them what they never dreamed possible. So instead of telling them, trying to convince them, why don't you show it to them and give them something so exceptional that any competition or any opposition is going to be wiped out. And there's a beautiful story that now sticks to my mind. Florence Nightingale, we know her based on the history, start of nursing, etc. But she's been one of the first to use a pie chart, a polar graph to convince a lot of people. And after this, I will show you that more than the deaths from battle, more than the deaths from other causes of these soldiers, the death from diseases were a whole lot more. So she drew a pie chart, she drew a polar graph, she made the points and presented it saying, this is what you need to do. And Brunel was commissioned to build a hospital to the specifications and brought down the death rate significantly. The key message here is presentation matters. You might be right, you might have all the facts, but the way you present, to whom you present, absolutely matters for you to make 1 to 1 equal 3. A few punchlines all through. Discipline facilitates creativity, form follows function. Do it, do it until you cannot be ignored. And the example I draw is Shawshank Redemption. When Andy Dufresne wants more funds and books, he writes 1 letter to the superior authorities every week for 6 long years. And then they send $200 and a bunch of old books and sundries. So when the prison official asks him, so are you happy now? He says, no, I need more. Now I'm going to write 2 letters per week. Right? Any disadvantage that you and I face will lead to an unfair advantage if we make use of it. And the last one point, go upstream to reinterpret the brief. Just because there is a problem stated, you do not need to look at the problem. And the example he gives is poachers were rampant and they were killing the seal pups, smashing their heads and taking the skins because they were used to make purses or dresses or whatever. So the brief that was given is, how do we educate the poachers to make them stop? They said, poachers are going to poach. They're not going to. So what was done is the brief was rewritten. You need to save seal pups. Educating the poachers is what you have asked us, but why? To save the seal pups. So a bunch of these activists went and put spray paint on all these seal pups' backs. It dried quickly. The seal pups, it didn't matter at all. But it made the seal skins useless for the poachers because you couldn't use it for anything. Right? So you reinterpret the brief, go upstream, ask why, and there are several examples across the book that talk about it. The final lesson, which comes somewhere in the middle, is you have the product. You come up with a particular product, but the product creates the experience creates the reputation, and the reputation builds your brand. So you just can't say, I'm a brand today. You need to have a product or a service that gives them a specific experience, and over the course, you go ahead and build that brand. Don't tell me you are a comedian, make me laugh. That's the key message, that go ahead and tell it through. That's my review of Dave Trott, must buy for anybody in the creative space, in the copy space, content space. Absolutely brilliant. And I know bulk of you are Kindle ones, but it was very nice to sit at a table without any electronics and just make my notes and make my corrections, and a lot of lessons for me to implement. A 5 on 5, I definitely recommend Dave Trott's 1 + 1 = 3.